Are you the kind of trader that spends too much time looking at their P&L rather than focusing on their process? Well, when you do that, what tends to happen, you tend to lose more than you want to lose. Now, we're going to address an issue like that today, and I'm going to share three things that are going to basically maybe help you or at least give you something to think about so that you can become a more profitable and consistent trader. What else are we going to do? Well, hi, I'm Dennis Wilburn, the Active Trend Trader. I'm also going to give you a lowdown on what's happening with the indexes on Thursday. This is June 10th. And a couple of stocks that we are watching that may be having the momentum shift towards an upside trade that could set themselves up for both a pre-earnings run, laying themselves open to either buying the stock or doing a option type trade. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's session. I'm going to start here with the SPY, which is the non-leveraged ETF of the S&P. I'm going to blow this up just a little bit more so we can get a little bit better, more granularity on it. And I want to show you what's going on here. As you can see, we have broken out above these past highs here slightly. We've broken out and put in a spinning top. Spinning top is, all this level here. We had 3-4 days of just straight across kind of a tight pattern. And now we are starting to move up. What's going on with the volume? Zip, it's below average. However, one of the things to keep in mind, while going kind of flat, the momentum indicators are in fact stacked to the upside. Therefore, I would anticipate a slow grind continuing to move up. As long as that trend line remains intact, we can expect prices to continue moving up. How and where would I want to trade this to the upside? I think what I would do is I would not want to trade S&P to the upside or the downside. I'd want to hone in on either the NASDAQ as represented by the Qs or I would hone in on the NASDAQ represented by the Qs or the Qs or the IWM. There we go. And we'll come back into that. But as you can see, not a lot to write home about. One of the things I have been working on, I'm going to be sharing over to my YouTube channel and also for active trend traders with some of the premium service, is I have been working on a refinements to my system, and I've been taking a look. What has been happening is I've had a lot of traders that have been getting in too early and are too late on their trades, and so I've found that if I will combine both the TSI, the market forecast, which is only available to traders who trade on the Thinkorswim platform, I will be putting out a training video on that also over the next couple of weeks. And the MACD. The MACD is a little bit slower. However, once it switches to a bullish type position or a bearish type of position, you can basically trade in the direction of the MACD. If the MACD is going down, look to trade down. If the MACD is going up, look for trades that are going to the upside. And basically don't worry about anything else. When do we start being precautious? Well, precaution comes in when, give you an example here, it's when the TSI turns over, especially if it's above this line right here, which is the plus 42. When it turns over, and then after that, it is followed by a market forecast turnover. We can anticipate prices either driving sideways, getting a little bit more significant of a pullback, and that would be your opportunity to trade this counter trend to the downside and look for it testing lower levels of support. Very interesting, and I'll be sharing more on that on a training video that we'll have on Tech Tips on the YouTube channel Market Tech Talk. And while you're there on Market Tech Talk, if you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe to her. We are really celebrating. We just hit over 700 subscribers and would like to push that even higher. I'd like to see us up to 1,000 to 1,500 by the end of the year. And I want to thank all the people who have jumped on board And I really appreciate it. And if you have any suggestions on how we can make what we do better, what I do better, please leave it in the comments. And we'll try to implement that into things going forward. So let's jump on over to the next entity, which is the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is showing us not a lot to write home about, although it is moving up. As long as NASDAQ stays below this level, we've got a very interesting setup happening there. We have either a couple of different things. One, they call this, the Kilroy type formation, or a inverted head and shoulder type pattern. We broke out of that. However, it still has to get through that level of resistance right there, which is equal to right there. It's here. Yeah, the high there is 342. 342.23. There's one there that's 342.80, and so that's where that level of resistance is. What I'll be watching for is I'll be watching for the price actions to move up into that line, and if I get a bearish reversal signal and I have a evidence of a momentum shift on either the TSI, the market forecast, and or again the MACD may lag a little bit, which is okay. And so as you can see, we're kind of getting mixed signals here also. If we get a bearish signal with that and the price action at resistance and we would have like 5 points where price actions can move, would say, hey, it's time to either shut down the position, take profits, or maybe even look at a potential short, downturn swing. If you can hear the noise in the background, I apologize so much. If you hear any big booms or loud noises, we have men working here at the house on our upper lanai, and so it's right outside my office door, and that won't last long. Again, taking a look over here, what's going on the weekly? TSI turning up. Now it's Thursday, so that's getting closer to a complete signal. If that continues in that direction of the turn up of the crossover to the upside, that can be a pretty good signal to say, okay, get ready, stand by to jump on a trade. I would anticipate a breakout. And so how would we want to do that? If we in fact break out, I would look at making that level our level of support, which is, let me give you a number on that, 328.28. There may be some other levels of support that would be a potential stop loss. 334 level looks pretty good. And so we just, like I said, we have not really received a really great reversal signal to jump onto a long trade. However, price action is still moving up to the upside. And I'll show you a little trick that you can take and utilize, for yourself. If you do use the TSI, just lay in a trend line, something like that. And the momentum can be expected to keep moving up until it crosses that trend line to the downside. And then hopefully that'll also correspond with a bearish signal to the downside. Works the same way when you're looking for certainty of a momentum shift. Look at that, beautiful. We had a crossover and a cross up above the trend line. And what did that line up with? Well, as you can see here, pretty darn good convergence and confluence of clues, because the MACD had crossed up, the market forecast had crossed up, and actually it happened right there. And so the actual trigger to into the trade would either be the retest of support there or breakout from that support. So as you can see, learning how to utilize that trigger can help you get into a position a little bit early. You can lay them on there. What else do we have going on? Oh, on the flip side of that, here's a perfect example of utilizing one to the downside. So on that trend line there, where does it cross? Where did it finally break down? Well, it broke down right there. As you can see, price actions went up just a little bit more, topped out, reversal signals, and then fell. And that fall there was a nice opportunity to take either one, get out of any positions you had up here, or take a position down to the downside in SQQQ. And matter of fact, that's exactly what we did for our premium members and our top flight leverage ETF members. And SQQQ made some nice change for us, about 15 to 20% over a 2.5 week period. So that's what we've got going on with the Qs. Now comes the fly in the ointment, as far as I'm concerned, is what the heck is happening with the Russell. The Russell has come up and it was looking pretty healthy. And if you'll check out over here, we had the MACD, which to a positive move. The histogram started to turn back up. Those are all positive things. PSI on the weekly chart did in fact cross last week. However, what's going on this week? Again, this is not a complete candlestick for this week, but it sure as heck looking a little bit like a shooting star type of candlestick. What's happened with the daily chart? PSI crossed over to the downside. Market forecast appears to be topping. MACD, again, the histogram has rolled over and is starting to tick into lower, and showing that the momentum is coming out of IWM. If I look at this and kind of go sideways and go across to the left and then back to the right, what am I seeing? I'm basically seeing just a range-bound entity. And so I want to basically wait for yesterday was a bearish candlestick. That's a what's called a dark cloud. We are confirming to the downside today. But what's happened is it's hit dynamic support at the 8-day moving average. We take out the dynamic support. Where might we go? Well, watch for a retracement down into this level right here where it broke out of before, but I don't. The other way I will take a look at doing this, let's remove that. Now let's just go over and throw in a fib real quick. And let's base it off the Fibonacci. So there's two different places you can do a fib. You can either go all the way back to the end of the period down here, or this came back and put in a lower, a swing low here up to the swing high there. We can also do that. Now, if you are using Fibonacci's, keep in mind that if you blow through either side of the Fibonacci, it is no longer valid. So where does this take us to? Look at that. We had that hammer right there basically ended right at the 50% retracement. Of course, it wasn't a 50% retracement when we did that, but that level right there also coincides with what? The 50-day moving average. And that is the 50% retracement. So that's down at 223.84. The question is do we want to trade either TZA? Because TZA should be showing us, that's the inverse ETF, showing us a reversal signal here, which it is. So where might it go? Well, TZA may run all the way back up into at least this area here. And the other thing is just keep in mind here, this is an inverse ETF, and while its slope is down, that's partly due to contango and backwardation, where it loses value because of the entities that it has to, the derivatives it has to, the company has to buy to show a three times the regular Russell And so if the Russell is going down or going up, this is going down in value by 3 times. But anyway, it loses value. That's why it slopes slightly to the right. So this looks like a potential setup happening right now. I'll look for a retest back into this area here and just see if we in fact do bounce back up. So TZA, I think that looks pretty good to the upside. If you are a premium member, stand by. We could have some an alert or a text alert, buy alert go out on that a little bit later today. The other thing, what we want to be looking at is that basically does it. So the other thing, we look at TNA. TNA is not tradable, but let's see what's happening with TNA. Now, see, TNA, there's not as much backwardation going, and it's more in line with what the non-leverage ETF IWM is doing. So as I promised, I want to talk briefly about 2 things. What is the major reason? What is the major reason traders lose money in the stock market? Okay, well, because they close a trade is less than what they enter the trade in. No, it's something more evident than that. The major three reasons why traders lose money in the market is one, they basically don't have a system or a plan, a written plan to trade. So they're out there by the seat of their pants, flying around, and that is a dangerous situation. So number one, no system. Number two, no stop loss. That, I think, is the biggest issue and reasons why people lose more money in the market than they have to. Some of them don't even know some people don't even know they need a stop loss. But the fact of the matter is if you're trading without stop losses, it's worse than unprotected sex. But that's another story. We won't go into it right now. Number three is having a system, but then not following the system. Not following the system. NFS, or actually NFTS, yeah. Not following the system. Those are the 3 major reasons why people lose money in the stock market. The no stop loss, that's a biggie, because oftentimes, especially if you're trading options, that's where you let your loser go to zero, therefore losing all that you've invested in that particular entity. So there's our little tip for the day. We'll cover a little bit more about that later on. If you like that tip, hey, just give me a thumbs up, or leave a comment down in the comment section. And now, as I promised, the 2 stocks that we're looking at, and they are Square. Now, Square is what has Square been doing here? Square came down, retested a breakout level you see here, and it looks like it's trying to base its way back up. One thing to always remember, stocks tend to go down twice as fast as they go up. And so we make it into a elongated type of move up to the upside. What's happening? Do we have any positive? How many positive convergence of clues do we have? Well, 1, we're coming off a level of support. We're at a level of support. That's 1. TSI turned up down here. That was 2. TSI is turning up and crossing here. That's 2. Market forecast rolling up. Momentum. Those are momentum shifts. So that's 1, 2, 3, and last but not last but the MACD. Bullish direction. Okay, it crossed and is still running up. We have on the weekly, the MACD has in fact showing the histogram going up in the upside. Not here for the weekly chart here on the market forecast or the TSI. And then the other thing of interest is, do I have a bullish reversal signal? And the answer to that is yes, I do. It's right No, I don't. No, I do. It could have been that one, which would have been a bullish harami, but it's closer to being that one. Now, this isn't a pure bullish pattern, reversal pattern, because it's not quite a full engulfing pattern, but it's pretty darn close. What are the, so I've got 5, pluses, 1 negative. I haven't busted up through the dynamic resistance of the moving averages. I draw a straight line across here, and I'm still kind of just slightly below that downtrend line. We break out, we're in good shape. We should be good to go. Square has earnings when? Earnings coming up on maybe I'll tell you that. There we go, 8.5 after market. So that's one. And the other entity I want you to be taking a look at is, believe it or not, PayPal. PayPal may be back in play. PayPal's and Square, same industry group. So I wouldn't trade both of them, but I would look to trade one of them. PayPal looks a little bit stronger. Why? One, it is up above its moving averages. Those dynamic moving averages now can turn around and act as good support. Two, do I have, I have this is not a bullish, it is a engulfing pattern. It is bullish. However, it is not a bullish engulfing pattern because it's not at the end of a downtrend. But what it does do is it voids the shooting star that was from yesterday. That's a positive. On the weekly charts, TSI turning up off of a strong support area. MACD looks like its histogram is heading in the right direction. MACD, market forecast, and TSI all look good on the daily chart. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 positive positive sign. 5 if I count finding support off the 8-day moving average. So that basically covers it for today. I hope you enjoyed this format that we've been doing for how to make money, or not how to make money, but on the radar. Again, 2 stocks and also just a little bit of the voice of experience, because I've been trading for over 30 years, and I want to share with you so you can avoid those landmines and not get your legs blown off. So until next week, aloha. God bless everybody.